The fluorescent lights of Boston General's fourth floor hummed their usual tired song as Layla Hasan pushed her cleaning cart past the nurse's station. 3 a.m. meant the world belonged to people like her, the ones who scrubbed floors while others slept, who made $12 an hour while carrying medical school debt she'd never finish paying. Her grandmother's insulin and their Dorchester rent took everything. The math never worked, so she took double shifts and tried not to think about the white coat she'd once imagined wearing. The sound hit her as she rounded the corner, a child screaming that tore through the quiet corridor. Not pain. This was terror. Desperation. The kind that made her chest tighten with memory. Layla followed the wailing to room 4C. Through the partially open door, she saw large men in dark suits standing helplessly around a small form. "Just pick him up," one growled. "I tried." He screams louder. The child's screaming intensified. Layla pushed the door open wider before rational thought could stop her. If you're enjoying this story so far, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe. Drop a comment telling me where in the world you're watching from. I love hearing from you. 5 men in expensive suits crowded the room, jackets unable to conceal holstered weapons. A 6th man stood apart near the window, his authority unmistakable in the way others gave him space. Even from behind, power radiated from him. In the hospital bed sat a toddler, maybe 18 months old, his face red and swollen from crying. Dark curls stuck to his tear-soaked forehead. He clutched a stuffed rabbit while batting away anyone who approached, his screams piercing enough to make Layla's ears ring. "Excuse me," Layla heard herself say. Every head turned. The man at the window turned last, and Layla felt the impact of his gaze like a physical force. He was younger than she'd expected, mid-30s, with dark hair and a face that would have been handsome if not for the coldness in his gray eyes. A thin scar cut through his left eyebrow. His suit probably cost more than Layla made in 6 months. "Who the hell are you?" His voice was quiet, dangerous. Layla's hospital ID was clearly visible. Layla Hasan, Environmental Services. Just a cleaner who should know better. "I work here." I heard him crying. "And that's your business because?" One suited man stepped forward, hand moving toward his jacket. The man at the window raised one hand, freezing everyone. The nurses said he won't stop. 2 hours of screaming. They tried everything. Nothing works. Something cracked in his controlled expression. He won't let anyone touch him. Layla looked past him to the toddler, who'd paused to watch with swollen, suspicious eyes. "May I try?" "You're a janitor." "I'm a person who's not a strange man in a suit towering over him," Layla replied. "Sometimes it's not about what you do, it's about how you do it." The man studied her for what felt like an eternity. Then he stepped aside. 5 minutes, then you leave and forget you were ever in this room. Layla moved slowly toward the bed, making herself smaller, less threatening. "Hi, Habibi," she said softly, the Arabic endearment slipping out naturally. "You've had a scary time, haven't you?" The toddler's bottom lip trembled. Fresh tears spilled down his cheeks, but the screaming stopped. Layla didn't reach for him. She simply sat on the floor beside the bed, close enough to be present but respecting his space. "That's a nice rabbit. Does he have a name?" The toddler clutched the stuffed animal tighter but didn't respond. His sobs quieted to hitching breaths. "My grandma has a cat named Mr. Whiskers. He's very grumpy. Is your rabbit like that?" The smallest sound escaped the toddler. Not quite a word, but not a cry either. Layla began to hum an old melody her grandmother had sung to her, the same one she'd sung to her cousin Rima during endless nights in the refugee center. The tune was simple, repetitive, designed to soothe. The toddler's breathing began to slow, synchronizing with the rhythm. His grip on the rabbit loosened slightly. Then, without planning it, Layla began to sing. The words came in Arabic, soft and low. "Naam, naam, ya helu. Naam ala ainai. Jiblak ilnum min jibal Lubnan. Sleep, sleep, my beautiful one. Sleep upon your eyes, bringing you sleep from the mountains of Lebanon." The effect was immediate. The toddler's eyes went wide, his mouth forming a small O of surprise. The tension drained from his small body. He stopped crying completely, mesmerized by the foreign words and melody. Layla continued singing, adding verses about stars and moonlight and cedar trees. Her voice wasn't trained, but it carried something authentic, the weight of tradition, the comfort of generations, the promise of safety. The toddler's eyes began to droop. His breathing deepened. Without warning, He reached out one small hand toward Layla. Slowly, carefully, Layla extended her own hand. The toddler's fingers wrapped around her thumb with surprising strength, his eyes never leaving her face as sleep finally took him. Layla kept singing until she was certain he was truly asleep, then gently extracted her thumb and stood. When she turned, all 6 men were staring at her with expressions ranging from shock to something like fear. The man at the window was standing perfectly still, his face drained of color. His hands were clenched at his sides. "That song," he said, his voice hoarse. "Where did you learn that song?" "My grandmother. She's from Lebanon. She used to sing it to me." Something unreadable flickered across his face. Pain, recognition, both. "My sister used to sing that exact song to him. Every night." He paused, swallowing hard. "She died 3 days ago." The air changed, becoming thick with grief and understanding. Layla looked back at the sleeping toddler, not just a crying child, but an orphan. A baby who'd lost his mother and was surrounded by men who didn't know how to comfort him. "I'm so sorry," Layla whispered. The man nodded once, sharply. "What's your name?" "Layla. Layla Hasan. Dante. Moretti." He said it like she should recognize it. "That's my nephew, Elias. His parents, my sister Sophia and her husband, were killed in a car accident." A lie, Layla could tell, but she nodded anyway. "He's lucky to have you." Dante laughed bitterly. "Lucky. I don't know the first thing about taking care of a kid. I don't know why he cries or what he needs." He looked down at the sleeping child with raw vulnerability. "I don't even know what that rabbit's name is." "Mr. Floppy," one of the suited men offered quietly. Dante closed his eyes. "Mr. Floppy. Of course." The hospital room fell silent except for Elias's even breathing. Layla knew she should leave, but something kept her rooted in place. "I should go," she finally said. "Wait." Dante reached into his jacket and extracted a business card. "My number. In case I need someone who knows that song." Layla took the card. "Plain white, expensive stock, just a name and phone number. I work here most nights." If he needs someone. Something that might have been gratitude flickered across Dante's face. "Thank you, Layla Hasan." She left quickly, her heart pounding. She'd just walked into a room full of criminals, probably Mafia. She'd given them her real name. But when she thought about Elias's small hand wrapped around her thumb, about the devastating grief in Dante's eyes, she couldn't regret it. 3 days later, her phone buzzed. Unknown number. "He won't sleep. Can you come?" She should have deleted it. Should have blocked the number. Instead, what's the address? The house was in Beacon Hill, a historic brownstone that looked like it had stood since the Revolutionary War. 2 men in suits flanked the front door, studying her with suspicious eyes. "Name, Layla Hasan. Dante called me about Elias." They exchanged glances. The one on the left spoke into his wrist, listened, then nodded. "3rd floor, Mr. Moretti is expecting you." The interior was intimidating, dark wood paneling, oil paintings, furniture older than Layla's grandmother. A suited man led her up 2 flights to a door at the end of the hall. "Come in," Dante's voice, rough with exhaustion. The nursery had pale blue walls, a crib, shelves full of toys still in packaging, everything new and overwhelmingly sad. Dante sat in a rocking chair, Elias clutched against his chest, both looking equally miserable. The toddler was crying again, not desperate, screaming, but hopeless, exhausted sobbing that felt worse. "He won't sleep," Dante said without preamble, his voice cracking. "I've tried everything. The pediatrician said it's just adjustment, but..." He looked down at Elias with anguish. "I don't know what to do. How long has he been crying?" 4 hours, on and off." Dante rubbed his free hand over his face. "The nanny quit this morning. The woman before her lasted 2 days. May I?" Dante hesitated, then carefully transferred the toddler to her arms. Elias stiffened initially, crying, intensifying, but Layla began humming immediately that same old melody. Within seconds, Elias's sobs began to quiet. Dante stared at them both, his expression unreadable. "It's not magic," Layla said softly. "It's just familiar, safe, something he recognizes from before." "Before his whole world ended," Dante finished bitterly. Layla began to sing, the Arabic words filling the nursery with comfort. Elias's breathing slowed, his eyes drooping. She moved to the rocking chair, settling into its rhythm. Within 10 minutes, Elias was asleep. His small body completely relaxed, one hand clutching Layla's scrub top, the other wrapped around Mr. Floppy. "I don't understand," Dante said quietly from where he'd slumped against the wall. "Why does it work when you do it?" "Because I'm not trying to replace his mother. I'm just offering something familiar, a bridge between what he lost and what he has now." She looked at Dante directly. "Some things can't be fixed. They just have to be survived." Something cracked in Dante's expression. Sophia was the only good thing about our family. She got out, married someone normal, had a baby, was building an actual life. His gesture encompassed the house, the guards. And then the Volkovs decided to send me a message, a car bomb. They didn't even know she'd be in that car. Layla's arms tightened protectively around Elias. "I'm sorry. Everyone's sorry." Dante's laugh was hollow. "But showing up does, trying does. Being here even when you don't know what you're doing, that matters," Layla said. Dante met her eyes, and something passed between them. Understanding. Recognition of shared experience with loss and helplessness. "Stay," he said abruptly. "Tonight, until he's sleeping soundly. I'll pay you whatever you want." Layla should have refused. Should have walked out of this house with its guards and secrets and danger. But when she looked down at the sleeping toddler, he felt the weight of his trust and need. She found herself nodding. "Okay. I'll stay." Dante's shoulders sagged with relief as he sat on the floor beside the rocking chair. "Tell me about him. What was he like before?" "Happy. Always laughing." Sophia said he was starting to talk, mama and no and more. His voice caught. "Now he doesn't say anything. He will again." Layla said with more certainty than she felt. "Children are resilient. He just needs time, and someone who won't give up on him." "Like you?" The question hung in the air. Layla thought about her grandmother, her jobs, her carefully constructed life. She thought about the bills and the debt. She thought about Elias's small hand wrapped around her thumb. "I'm not a nanny. I'm not qualified for this. You got him to sleep when trained professionals couldn't. That makes you more qualified than anyone. I clean hospital floors for $12 an hour. I work at a coffee shop during the day. I take care of my grandmother who can barely afford her medication. I don't belong in this world. What if I made it worth your while?" Dante's voice took on that edge of power. "Name your price. I need someone Elias trusts, and he trusts you." Layla looked at the sleeping toddler, thought about her grandmother's insulin, the medical bills, the constant juggling, thought about walking away and spending the rest of her life wondering what happened to this broken child. "I need to think about it." Dante nodded slowly. "Fair enough." He pulled out his phone. "I'm ordering dinner." "What do you eat?" "What? You're staying for hours. Might as well eat." "Dietary restrictions?" "I keep halal generally, Mediterranean place nearby." "Chicken shawarma and hummus?" Layla blinked at him, off balance. "If that's okay." "Done." That night, Clara waited until Sophia was asleep before climbing to her third-floor room. She pulled out the emergency phone and sent a single text. 20 minutes later, her phone buzzed. "Navy Pier, South Side, 1 hour." She slipped out through the kitchen door, catching a bus downtown. Reed waited on a bench near the Ferris wheel. "You're compromised," he said without preamble. "Romano's suspicious. He questioned me today. I handled it." Reed turned to face her. "Agent Chun is pulling the plug. 1 week with minimal intel. 1 shipment tip we can't act on. She wants results or extraction." Layla's stomach dropped. "I need more time." "For what? To play nanny?" Reed's voice was sharp. "You're there to take down a criminal organization, not babysit. That girl is innocent. That girl is leverage. Use her. Use her how? She's 7 years old with autism. I want you to do your damn job." Reed stood. "Your sister is dead because of Romano's operation. You begged for this assignment. This is what justice looks like." Reed pulled out his phone, showing a photo. A young woman, blonde, barely 20. Melissa Grant, 19. Overdosed last week on fentanyl-laced heroin. Romano's product. While you're playing house, girls like this are dying. Layla looked away. "I know. Do you? Because you're getting soft. You're starting to care about them." Reed's expression hardened. "That's how undercovers fail. They forget which side they're on." "I haven't forgotten." "Then prove it." Chun wants actionable intelligence in 48 hours or extraction. Find Romano's distribution network. Get into his computer. Do whatever you have to do. And if I can't? Then you failed. Reed stood. Don't come to this meeting spot again. Too risky. Use the emergency line only. And Clara, remember why you're doing this. Remember Emma. He walked away. Clara pulled out her phone and scrolled to a hidden photo. Emma laughing, alive, before the overdose that killed her. Emma, who deserved justice. But when Clara closed her eyes, she didn't see Emma. She saw Sophia's face, trusting and innocent. She saw Adrian watching his daughter sleep. She was supposed to destroy them. So why did it feel like revenge instead of justice? That morning, while Sophia was at occupational therapy and Adrian was in a meeting, Clara slipped into the library. The fake lipstick USB drive was in her pocket, ready. Adrian's laptop sat on the desk, closed but not locked away. Clara's hand hovered over it. Just 30 seconds. Plug it in, let it clone, walk away. But the office door was open. Victor walked past every few minutes. Security cameras tracked the hallway. And somewhere in her chest, a voice whispered, "This is wrong." She pulled her hand back and left empty-handed. Now she was running out of time. That afternoon, Sophia wanted to bake cookies. They spent 2 hours measuring flour and sugar, Sophia insisting everything be precise. When an egg cracked messily, Sophia froze, breathing quickening. "It's okay," Clara said quickly. "We'll just scoop out the shells. See? Problem solved." Sophia's panic faded. They continued. The cookies were lopsided and slightly burned, but Sophia stared at them like treasures. "We made these. By ourselves. You did most of the work. Can we give one to Daddy?" Clara's throat tightened. Of course. They found Adrian in his office, on the phone. When he saw Sophia holding a paper plate with a cookie, his expression softened completely. "Gentlemen, I'll call you back." He ended the call. "What's this?" "We baked. Try it." Adrian took the cookie, examined it seriously, and took a bite. "This is delicious." "Really?" Sophia's whole face lit up. He pulled her into a hug. She tolerated it for 3 seconds before squirming away. "You're a master chef." Sophia giggled and ran off to give cookies to the guards. Adrian looked at Clara. "Thank you." "For what?" "For making her feel normal. Even if just for an afternoon." Clara should have left, should have maintained professional distance. Instead, she sat across from him. "Can I ask you something? Why this life? You clearly love her. You could have gone legitimate." Adrian was silent for a long moment. "This life chose me before I chose it. My father was in the organization, his father before him. By the time I was old enough to make choices, I was already in too deep." He set down the cookie. "Maria, my wife, she saw something in me worth saving. She made me promise that if we had children, I'd find a way out. But then Maria died. The men who planted that bomb are still out there. If I go legitimate, I lose my protection. I lose the resources to keep Sophia safe. So you're a prisoner of your own empire." "Something like that." He met her eyes. "Does that make you afraid? Knowing what I am?" Clara should have said yes. "No, it makes me sad." Something flickered in Adrian's expression. "You're different than I expected." "What did you expect?" "Someone who'd run when things got hard." He paused. "Someone who wouldn't call me out on my choices." They stared at each other. The moment stretched, charged with something Clara didn't want to name. Adrian's phone buzzed. The spell broke. "I should go," Clara said, standing quickly. "Sophia's probably covered the guards in cookie crumbs." But as she reached the door, Adrian called out, "Clara." She turned. "Thank you. For everything." The sincerity in his voice nearly broke her. That night Clara couldn't sleep. 16 hours left. She needed to decide. Call Reed. Ask for extraction. Admit failure. Or find the evidence. Complete the mission. Destroy the fragile world Sophia had started to build. At 2 a.m., she gave up and wandered downstairs for water. That's when she heard it, a soft voice from Sophia's room. The door was cracked open. Clara peered inside. Adrian sat beside Sophia's bed, watching his daughter sleep. He'd changed into a t-shirt and jeans, his hair mussed like he'd been running his hands through it. "I'm trying," he whispered to Sophia's sleeping form. "I know I'm not good at this. Not like your mother was. She always knew what to say, what to do." Sophia shifted in her sleep, clutching her stuffed bear. "You're all I have left, baby girl. The only good thing in my whole damn life. And I'm terrified every day that I'm going to fail you. Clara's chest ached. This wasn't the crime lord. This was just a father, broken and struggling and alone. She should have left. Instead, she knocked softly. Adrian's head snapped up, expression transforming to guarded alertness. But when he saw Clara, the tension eased. "Can't sleep either?" he asked quietly. Clara shook her head and stepped into the room. "I do this sometimes," he said, looking back at Sophia. "Come in here. Talk to her when she can't hear me. It's pathetic." "It's not pathetic. It's human." Clara moved closer. "You're a good father, Mr. Romano. Adrienne. And no, I'm not. A good father wouldn't raise his daughter in a world like mine. A good father loves his daughter, protects her, tries to do better. That's you." Adrian looked up at her. In the dim light from Sophia's nightlight, his eyes were vulnerable. "Why do you care? You barely know us. Because I'm supposed to destroy you. Because you're a criminal and I'm a cop. Because Sophia deserves someone who cares," she said instead. "And so do you." The words hung between them. Adrian stood slowly, and suddenly he was close. Too close. "You're dangerous, Clara Matthews," he said softly. Her pulse raced. "Why?" "Because I'm starting to believe you actually mean that." They stood in the darkness, inches apart, the sleeping child between them a reminder of everything at stake. Clara knew she should step back, remember who she was, what she was doing here. But all she felt was the devastating weight of guilt and attraction, and something that felt terrifyingly like real emotion. "I should go," she whispered. "Yeah," Adrian agreed. But neither of them moved. Finally, Clara forced herself to step back, to leave the room, to flee before she did something unforgivable. Behind her closed door, she pulled out the emergency phone with shaking hands. 13 hours left, she typed, "I need more time." Reed's response was immediate. No extensions. "Evidence by 9 a.m. or extraction. Those are your orders." Clara stared at the message until it blurred. Then she made her choice. She deleted the message, turned off the phone, and hid it in the back of her drawer. Tomorrow, she'd face the consequences. Tonight, she was just going to let herself feel, even if it destroyed her. 9 a.m. came and went. Clara watched the clock tick past the deadline, her stomach in knots. Her phone stayed silent. No call from Reed, no extraction team. Either they were giving her more time or they'd already written her off as compromised. She didn't know which was worse. "Clara," Sophia tugged her sleeve. "You're not listening." "Sorry, sweetheart. What were you saying?" "Mr. Bear wants to know if you're sad." Clara looked at the stuffed bear Sophia held up. "No, Clara Ral. I'm just thinking." "About what?" "About how I'm betraying your father. About how I'm betraying my badge. About how I don't know who I am anymore." "About what?" "To have for lunch," Clara said instead. Sophia seemed to accept this, going back to arranging her toys. Clara's phone buzzed, finally. But it wasn't Reed. It was Adrian. My office. Now. Adrian stood at his window when she entered, his back to her. On his desk sat a manila folder, papers spilling out. "Close the door," he said without turning. Clara obeyed, her heart hammering. Adrian finally faced her. His expression was unreadable. "I need to ask you about Milwaukee. Little Sprouts Daycare. You said you worked there for 2 years. That's right. Funny thing, I called them. They confirmed you worked there. Said you were excellent." He pulled out a paper. "But then I talked to a parent. She remembered you. Described you perfectly right down to the mole on your left wrist." Clara's blood went cold. She didn't have a mole on her left wrist. The real Clara Matthews did. "She died in a car accident 7 months ago," Adrian said softly. "Single vehicle collision outside Milwaukee. You've been using a dead woman's identity. Which means everything you've told me is a lie." Clara's training kicked in. "Deny, deflect, don't." Adrian's voice cut like a blade. "Don't insult my intelligence. Who are you working for? FBI? DEA? Chicago PD?" Clara said nothing. Adrian laughed bitterly. "And to think I was starting to trust you. Starting to believe someone actually gave a damn about my daughter. I do care about Sophia. Liar." Adrian slammed his hand on the desk. "Everything about you is a lie. What's the play? Get close through my daughter so you can gather evidence?" He was right. That was exactly the play. "Are you going to kill me?" Clara asked. I should. Adrian's jaw clenched. My men certainly think so. Victor wants you disappeared tonight. Marco's already dug the hole. He moved closer. But my daughter loves you. She talks about you constantly. This morning she asked if you could be her new mommy. Clara's chest constricted. So tell me the truth, Adrian said. At least give me that. Who sent you? Clara weighed her options. The truth would end everything, but maybe honesty would buy Sophia some protection. Chicago PD, she said quietly. Special Investigations Unit. My real name is Clara Reyes. Detective Clara Reyes. Adrian's expression didn't change. He'd already known. And Sophia, was she ever more than an assignment? At first, no. I researched her needs because I needed to get close to you. Clara forced herself to be honest. But somewhere along the way, she stopped being part of the mission. She became real. And I started to actually care. How convenient. It's the truth. I care about her, Adrian. I know you don't believe me. You're right. I don't. Adrian pulled his phone from his pocket. One call and you vanish. Clara didn't move. If this was how it ended, she wouldn't beg. Adrian's finger hovered over the screen. Then a small voice came from the doorway. Daddy? They both turned. Sophia stood there in her yellow dress. Her stuffed bear clutched to her chest, her eyes wide and confused. Why are you yelling? Are you mad at Clara? Adrian's face transformed, all anger melting. Sophia, sweetheart, go back to... No. Sophia's voice was firm. She walked directly to Clara and wrapped her arms around Clara's legs. Don't be mean to Clara. She's my friend. She's nice. She doesn't yell or grab or make my food touch. Sophia looked up at her father with tears in her eyes. Please don't make her go away. Everyone goes away. Adrian stared at his daughter, his phone still in his hand. Clara felt Sophia trembling against her. She knelt down level with the little girl. Hey, it's okay. Your dad and I were just talking. He sounded angry. Sometimes grown-ups get frustrated, but we're okay now. Right? Clara looked at Adrian, silently pleading. Adrian looked between his daughter and the woman holding her, the woman who'd lied about everything, the woman his daughter loved. Slowly, he lowered the phone. Right, he said hoarsely. We're okay. Promise? Sophia held out her tiny finger. Adrian knelt and linked his pinky with hers. Pinky promise. Satisfied, Sophia released Clara and skipped back to the playroom, humming like nothing had happened. Adrian and Clara stayed kneeling, the weight of what just happened hanging between them. She saved your life, Adrian said quietly. You understand that? I know. This isn't over. I still don't trust you. I'm still watching, and if you do anything to hurt her, I will end you. He stood. But as long as Sophia needs you, you stay. And when she doesn't need me anymore? Adrian's smile was cold. Then we'll see if you're as good at running as you are at lying. He walked to his desk, picked up a different folder, and handed it to her. Inside were documents, fake papers, a new identity. Clara Reynolds, Canadian citizen, former teacher. This is who you are now. Clara Matthews is dead again. This identity will hold up to anything short of Interpol. Use it. Why are you helping me? I'm not helping you. I'm protecting Sophia. Adrian's eyes were hard. She's happy. For the first time in years. I won't take that away from her, even if it means keeping a cop in my house. What about your men? They'll do what I tell them, but they'll also be watching you every second. One mistake, detective, and they won't wait for my permission. Clara nodded. The reprieve was temporary, fragile, but it was something. Thank you. Don't thank me. Just do your job. Take care of my daughter and stay out of my business. He sat at his desk, dismissing her. We clear? Crystal. Detective Reyes. She paused at the door. I meant what I said. I'm watching, and unlike you, I don't lie about who I am. His voice was ice. I'm a monster who loves his daughter. Remember that before you decide where your loyalties lie. Clara left the office, her whole body shaking. She'd survived barely. But now Adrian knew the truth, and she was more trapped than ever. The worst part? She wasn't sure she wanted to escape anymore. Moving into the Moretti brownstone felt like stepping into a different universe. Layla's grandmother cried when she saw the new apartment safe, clean, with windows that locked. The visiting nurse arrived the same day. How did you afford this? Her grandmother kept asking in Arabic. A new job taking care of a child, Layla replied. Her grandmother didn't push. She'd survived war and displacement. She knew some gifts came with questions you didn't ask. The brownstone's East Wing suite was bigger than Layla's entire previous apartment. A bedroom with Egyptian cotton sheets, a bathroom with heated floors, a closet filled with expensive clothes in her size. Mr. Moretti had them delivered. Mrs. Chen, the stern housekeeper, explained. If anything doesn't fit, let me know. A knock interrupted her thoughts. Dante stood in the hallway, Elias on his hip. The toddler's face lit up when he saw Layla. Someone woke up asking for you, Dante said. Would you join us for breakfast? Elias reached for Layla with both arms, leaning so far that Dante had to adjust to keep from dropping him. Layla took the toddler, and Elias immediately buried his face in her neck with a contented sigh. I guess that's a yes. Breakfast was elaborate. Mrs. Chen served fluffy pancakes with fresh berries. 2 security guards stood discreetly near the exits. Elias sat in a high chair between Layla and Dante, carefully eating tiny pieces Layla cut for him. He was still quiet, hadn't spoken since she'd arrived, but he seemed calmer. His therapist is coming this afternoon, Dante said. Dr. Rachel Morrison. I'd like you to sit in. Of course. I need to handle some business this morning. There's a meeting in my office. You'll hear voices, maybe shouting. Keep Elias upstairs and away from the windows facing the street. The casual way he said it made Layla's stomach clench. But she'd agreed to this. Understood. After breakfast, Layla took Elias to the 3rd-floor playroom. Someone had bought an entire toy store's worth of items, everything new, still in packaging, overwhelming and sad. Elias gravitated to wooden blocks, stacking them with intense concentration. Layla sat nearby, giving him space while remaining present. At 10 o'clock, voices drifted up from below, men speaking rapid Italian. Anger, threats, barely controlled violence. Layla closed the playroom door, reducing the sound. Elias looked up, his small body going rigid. His eyes tracked toward the door, panic building. Hey, Habibi, Layla said softly. Those are just grown-ups talking. They're far away, and we're safe. Elias's bottom lip trembled. A tear slid down his cheek. I know it's scary, but I promise, we're okay. Want me to sing? The toddler nodded, crawling into her lap. Layla began to hum that Arabic lullaby, rocking slightly. His body gradually relaxed. A loud crash from downstairs made them both jump. Elias whimpered, clinging tighter. It's okay, Layla murmured, continuing to rock and hum. She began singing the words, letting the Arabic wash over them. An hour later, the house went quiet. Dante appeared in the doorway. He'd changed his shirt. The new one was crisp and white, but his knuckles were bruised and split. Everything okay up here? He asked carefully. Fine. We stayed away from the windows. Elias looked up at his uncle. Something in the toddler's expression made Dante's hardness crack. He knelt beside them. Hey, buddy. Sorry it was loud. Uncle Dante had to have a serious talk with some people. Elias stared at him with those 2 knowing eyes, then reached out to touch Dante's bruised knuckles. His fingers traced the splits with surprising gentleness. I'm okay, Dante assured him. Just a little banged up. But Elias's expression said he was worried. He looked between his uncle and Layla, clearly distressed. Your uncle is very strong, Layla said gently. But how about we get him some ice? That would help. Elias nodded seriously, wanting to help. They ended up in the kitchen, Elias watching as Layla made an ice pack. Mrs. Chen appeared with antiseptic and bandages, giving Dante a disapproving look. You should be more careful, Mr. Moretti. I was careful. You should see the other guy. I don't want to see the other guy. Mrs. Chen finished bandaging. Make sure he keeps ice on those for 20 minutes. He's terrible at following medical advice. Elias nodded solemnly, taking his role as enforcer seriously. Doctor. Rachel Morrison arrived at 2 o'clock. She was in her 40s, with kind eyes and an unhurried manner. You must be Layla. Dante has told me about the lullaby. That was beautiful work. I just did what felt right. The best therapy usually is what feels right. The session was gentle. Doctor. Morrison played with Elias, introducing dolls, a mommy doll, a daddy doll, a baby doll. At first, Elias ignored them. Then he picked up the baby doll. He held it carefully, then put it face down on the floor and covered it with a blanket. The baby is sleeping? Dr. Morrison asked gently. Elias nodded. That's good. Babies need sleep. Is the baby having a good dream or a scary dream? If you're hooked on this story, make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss an upload. Your support means everything and helps me bring you more emotional stories like this one. Elias picked up the mommy doll and laid it next to the baby doll, both face down under the blanket. Then he took the daddy doll and placed it beside the others. All three dolls, face down, sleeping or dead. Dante looked away, hands clenching. And who takes care of the baby when the mommy and daddy are sleeping? Elias looked directly at Layla. Then he picked up a different doll, one with dark hair and brown skin, and placed it near the covered figures, guarding them. Is that Layla? Elias nodded emphatically. What about Uncle Dante? Where is he? Elias picked up a tall male doll and placed it on the opposite side of the room, far from the sleeping family and the protective Layla doll. Separate. Apart. Dante's expression cracked, raw pain flashing before he controlled it. Uncle Dante is far away, Dr. Morrison observed. Is he safe over there? Elias considered seriously. Then he moved the Dante doll slightly closer, not with the family, but nearer, close enough to help. Still separate, but less alone. After the session, Dr. Morrison spoke privately with Dante and Layla. He's processing trauma through play. The covered dolls represent his parents' death. The fact that he's placing Layla as his primary protector shows he's formed a healthy attachment. And me? Dante asked quietly. Why am I separate? You're not separate. You're just at a different distance. He knows you're important, he moved your doll closer. But he's also processing that you're connected to the trauma. You represent the upheaval. It's not personal. So what do? You keep showing up. Keep being consistent. Let Layla be his primary caregiver while you support from the side. Eventually, he'll let you in further, but it takes time. After Dr. Morrison left, Dante and Layla sat in heavy silence. Through the window, Elias was playing in the garden with Mrs. Chen. I don't know how to do this, Dante said finally. Be what he needs. You don't have to know how. You just have to try. My father wasn't exactly warm. He was teaching me to fight by the time I was 6. Sophia got out because I made sure she could. I took the burden so she could be normal. His voice broke. And she still died because of me. No. She died because someone made a choice to plant a bomb. That's on them, not you. I'm the reason they wanted to send a message. Don't confuse cause and effect. You can drown in guilt or honor your sister by being the uncle Elias needs. You can't do both. He looked at her with those storm-gray eyes. How are you so certain? I'm not certain about anything. I'm terrified. But I made a choice to be here, and I'm going to see it through. You made a choice too. That's what matters. Dante was quiet. Then, thank you for being here, for not running when you saw what I really am. I haven't seen what you really are yet. I've seen parts. But people are more than their worst moments. She met his gaze. Though I'd appreciate it if you kept the violent parts as far from Elias and me as possible. That's the plan. Dante stood, moving to the window. The Volkovs reached out this morning. That's what the meeting was about. They want to negotiate. Layla's stomach dropped. What does that mean? It means they're either genuinely afraid of war or setting a trap. Either way, I have to meet with them. Establish boundaries. Make it clear that targeting my family has consequences. When? 3 days. Neutral territory. Witnesses. He turned to face her. While I'm gone, security will be increased. You and Elias don't leave without my explicit permission. You think they might try something? They already tried when they killed Sophia. Until I understand their endgame, I'm not taking chances. His expression was grim. If something happens to me, if the meeting goes wrong, Victor will take over as Elias's guardian. He'll get you both to a safe house in Canada. All arrangements are made. The casual way he discussed his own death made Layla's chest tight. Nothing's going to happen to you. Probably not. But in my world, you plan for everything. He pulled out a phone and handed it to her. Emergency line. 3 numbers. Me, Victor, and 911. If anything feels wrong, you call. Layla took the phone, the weight heavier than it should be. I need to know you'll protect him if I can't, Dante said intensely. That's why you're really here. Can you do that? If it comes down to it, can you choose him over me? Layla thought about the dolls from therapy, about Elias placing her as his protector, about the terrified child who reached for her at night. Yes, she said quietly. I can. Something flickered across Dante's face, relief and regret. Mixed. Good. That's what he needs. The next 3 days fell into careful routine. Mornings with Elias, breakfast, playtime, walks in the secured garden. Afternoons with quiet activities. Evenings when Dante would join them for dinner, trying to connect with his nephew in small, careful ways. On the second night, Layla woke to screaming. She ran to Elias's room and found him sitting up in his crib, tears streaming, his body rigid with terror. I've got you, Habibi, she murmured, lifting him out. You're safe. Dante appeared in the doorway, hair disheveled, wearing only pajama pants. Nightmare? He asked quietly. I think so. Layla rocked Elias, who clung to her like a lifeline. But Elias kept crying, his sobs desperate. Nothing seemed to break through the panic. Let me try, Dante said, moving closer. Elias tensed, crying intensifying. But Dante didn't reach for him. He sat on the floor near the rocking chair and began speaking in Italian. Low, rhythmic words. Sei al sicuro, piccolo. Niente può farti del male qui. Tuo zio è qui. Layla è qui. Siamo una famiglia ora. You're safe, little one. Nothing can hurt you here. Your uncle is here. Layla is here. We're a family now. Gradually, Elias's crying began to slow. His grip on Layla loosened slightly as he turned to look at his uncle. Tua mamma mi ha fatto promettere di proteggerti. E lo farò. Lo giuro sulla sua memoria. Your mama made me promise to protect you. And I will. I swear on her memory. Elias stared at his uncle with those two knowing eyes. Then, slowly, he reached out one small hand. Not to Layla. To Dante. Dante's breath caught. He moved closer carefully and let Elias's fingers wrap around his thumb. The same gesture the toddler had given Layla that first night. I've got you, Dante whispered, his voice breaking. I'm not going anywhere. They stayed like that, Layla, holding Elias holding Dante's hand, the three of them connected. Family, fragile and new. Eventually, Elias's eyes began to droop. His breathing evened out. But he didn't let go of Dante's thumb. You should stay, Layla said softly, until he's fully asleep. Dante nodded, settling on the floor. They sat in silence, only Elias's breathing and distant city sounds filling the room. My father used to speak to me in Italian when I was scared, Dante said quietly. It's the only good memory I have of him. Sophia remembered it too. She said she'd teach Elias someday. So, teach him now. Honor her by doing what she would have done. Dante met her eyes across the dim room. I'm not good at being gentle. You're here at 3 a.m, speaking Italian lullabies while he holds your hand. Seems like you're doing better than you think. A ghost of a smile crossed Dante's face. You have an answer for everything. Comes from arguing with professors about why I couldn't afford textbooks but still deserved to pass. You learn to defend your choices when survival depends on it. Is that what this is? Survival? Isn't it always? We're all just trying to survive. You with your empire, me with my grandmother, Elias with his trauma. We're all doing our best. My best has gotten a lot of people killed, and my best has kept a lot of people alive. We are more than our worst moments. We're also our best ones. The key is making sure the best ones outnumber the worst. He studied her with that intense gaze. How old are you again? 26. Why? You seem older, wiser. Trauma ages you fast. Watching your father work himself to death while creditors circle tends to mature you quickly. Dante was quiet. Then, your father, how did he die? Heart attack. 3 jobs, trying to pay off debts from failed business ventures. The stress broke him. I found him slumped over bankruptcy paperwork. Layla felt the familiar ache. I was 22, halfway through medical school. My mother had left when I was 15. So it was just me, my dad, and my grandmother. When he died, everything fell too. And you gave up medical school to take care of your grandmother. I didn't give it up. I postponed it. Someday, when she's stable, when the debts are clear, I'll go back. You could go back now, Dante said quietly. With what I'm paying you. Layla looked at Elias, peaceful in her arms. Maybe, but not yet. He needs consistency. I can't leave until he's stable. Even though staying puts your dreams on hold again? Dreams don't die just because you postpone them. And some things are more important than timing. Dante's expression softened. Sophia would have liked you. That same stubborn insistence on taking care of everyone else before yourself. Is that why she left? Yes. I gave her money to start over. Helped her meet Marcus Goodman, accountant, completely legitimate. Made sure she could build a life away from all this. I thought distance would keep her safe. His jaw clenched. I was wrong. You couldn't have known. I should have. Dante carefully extracted his thumb from Elias's sleeping grip. Get some rest. I'll stay in the chair in the hallway in case he wakes again. He left before Layla could argue. She settled Elias in his crib, watching his chest rise and fall. Through the crack in the door, she could see Dante's silhouette keeping watch. A crime lord standing guard over a traumatized toddler. A killer learning to be gentle. How could someone be both? Layla went back to her room but didn't sleep. Instead, she lay awake thinking about choices and consequences, about the strange path that had led her here. She thought about the way Dante had spoken to Elias in Italian, the tenderness cutting through years of coldness. She thought about the bruises on his knuckles and the fear in his eyes. She thought about how complicated it was to care for people who existed in shades of gray rather than simple good or evil. And she thought about the meeting tomorrow, where Dante would face the men who'd killed his sister and decide whether peace or war came next. The day of the meeting dawned gray and threatening rain. Dante was up early, dressed in an immaculate black suit, but his hands shook slightly as he adjusted his tie. You don't have to go, Layla said at breakfast, Elias cheerfully destroying a waffle while Dante pushed food around untouched. Yes, I do. If I don't show, it signals weakness. Everything collapses. He glanced at his nephew. I need to establish boundaries. Make sure they understand coming after my family means their complete destruction. And if they don't care about boundaries, then we go to war, and I make sure Elias is somewhere safe before the shooting starts. 2 hours later, a convoy of black SUVs pulled up. Victor emerged, a stocky man with silver hair and watchful eyes. Boss. He nodded to Dante, then studied Layla. You must be the miracle worker. Sometimes, Layla replied, holding Elias. I'll take good care of them. Extra security, rotating patrols. Nobody gets within 2 blocks. Dante moved to Elias, crouching to his level. Uncle Dante has to go to a meeting, buddy, but I'll be back before dinner. Victor's going to keep you and Layla safe, okay? Elias stared at him. Then, surprising everyone, he leaned forward and pressed his small hand against Dante's cheek. The gesture was deliberate, affectionate, unmistakably a farewell. Dante's composure cracked. He pulled Elias into a careful hug. I love you, he whispered. I'm coming back. When he stood and met Layla's eyes, she saw the fear he was trying to hide. Keep him safe, Dante said. Always, Layla replied. He nodded and left, surrounded by security. Layla watched from the window as the convoy disappeared. He'll be fine, Victor said beside her. Moretti men are hard to kill. That's not reassuring. It's honest. Victor turned to look at Elias. The kid seems better. When I saw him last week, he wouldn't let anyone near him. He's making progress. You're good for them both. Dante's different since you arrived. Less angry, more human. He paused. Don't break his heart. He's had enough loss. Before Layla could respond, the house phone rang. Victor answered, his expression darkening. When? How many? Another pause. Lock it down. Nobody moves. He hung up and made another call. Code red. Possible breach at southeast perimeter. Layla's stomach dropped. What's happening? Probably nothing. Sensor glitched. But Victor's hand had moved to his gun, and suddenly men appeared from everywhere, taking positions at windows and doors. Take Elias to the safe room, Victor instructed. 3rd floor, behind the bookshelf in the study. Code is 4287. Lock yourselves in and don't come out until Dante or I give the all clear. Victor, now Layla. This is not a discussion. She ran, Elias bouncing against her hip as she took stairs 2 at a time. The toddler sensed her fear, whimpering. It's okay, Habibi. We're just playing a hiding game. She found the bookshelf, entered the code 4287. The bookshelf swung inward, revealing a steel door. The safe room was small but well equipped. Reinforced walls, monitors showing security feeds, supplies to last days. Layla locked the door behind them. Then she sat with Elias, pulling up the security feeds. On the monitors, Victor coordinated his men, weapons drawn, covering every entrance. The The southeast gate showed nothing unusual. Elias whimpered louder. She forced herself to take deep breaths. Want to hear a story? About a brave little rabbit who lived in the mountains? Elias nodded, burying his face in her neck. Layla began the story about the rabbit who learned courage wasn't about not being afraid, it was about doing what needed to be done even when terrified. As she spoke, she watched the monitors, watched Victor's team search the grounds, watched shadows move in the Boston morning, and prayed this was just paranoia. On the monitor showing the front gate, a car pulled up. Not one of theirs. A dark sedan with tinted windows. Layla's blood went cold. The car sat there. Then the driver's window rolled down, and someone tossed a package toward the gate. Every guard immediately took cover, expecting an explosion. Nothing happened. The package just sat there. Victor approached carefully, using a pole to drag it toward him. He examined it, said something into his radio, then carefully opened it. His expression changed, fury and fear mixed. He pulled out his phone immediately. On another monitor, Layla saw her phone lighting up on the kitchen counter. The emergency phone Dante had given her. She couldn't answer it from the safe room. She could only watch and wait and hold Elias close while fear coiled in her stomach. Whatever was in that package meant nothing good. And Dante was walking into a meeting with the people who'd sent it, completely unaware that the threat had just arrived at his front door. 20 minutes in the safe room felt like 20 hours. Layla sat with Elias on her lap, watching the security monitors. The toddler had stopped whimpering, lulled by her story, but his body remained tense. On the monitors, Victor coordinated the response with military precision. The bomb squad arrived actual police, which meant whatever was in that package was serious. They x-rayed it, probed it, finally opened it. Not a bomb. Something worse. Victor's face drained of color as he read the message. He immediately pulled out his phone, and moments later, all monitors went dark except one, the one showing Victor's face as he activated the intercom. Layla, it's Victor. You're safe to come out but stay in the house. Don't go near windows. She pressed the intercom button. What was in the package? Victor's jaw clenched. A message for Dante. From the Volkovs. I've sent teams to the meeting location, but... He stopped. They have photos. Of you and Elias. From this morning in the garden. They've been watching the house. The implication hit like ice water. The Volkovs knew exactly who she was and where Elias was. They'd proven they could get close. Is Dante safe? Teams are en route. I can't reach him. He shut off his phone per protocol. But they wouldn't hit him at neutral ground with witnesses. Victor didn't sound convinced. Stay inside. We're going into lockdown until the boss returns. The intercom cut off. Layla sat in sudden silence, holding Elias, trying to process what this meant. They'd been watched, photographed, targeted, and Dante had walked into a meeting with people who wanted them dead. Mrs. Chen found her in the hallway. Mr. Moretti called on the house line. He's safe, heading back now. But he said to pack a bag for you and Elias. You're leaving tonight. Leaving? Where? I don't know. He just said be ready when he arrives. Layla returned to her suite and mechanically began packing. Clothes for Elias, his favorite toys, Mr. Floppy, the weighted blanket, clothes for herself, her grandmother's photo, the emergency phone. What kind of life was this? Running and hiding, living in fear that someone would use a baby to hurt his uncle? Elias deserved better. She was still packing when she heard commotion downstairs, raised voices, rapid footsteps. Dante returning. Layla left the bags and hurried down with Elias. The entrance hall filled with men talking over each other. Dante stood in the center, his jacket gone, shirt partially unbuttoned, a cut above his eyebrow bleeding. But he was alive. His eyes found hers immediately. Relief and rage and fear mixed in his expression. You're okay, he said, crossing to her. His hands came up like he wanted to touch her but stopped. Both of you. We're fine. Victor kept us safe. What happened? A setup. Dante's voice was tight with controlled fury. The Volkovs never intended to negotiate. They wanted to see if I'd show up. They had snipers on 3 rooftops. Would have taken me out if my scouts hadn't spotted them. Victor appeared. We took out the snipers and got him. Out clean, but it was close. And the message? Dante's eyes had gone cold. You saw what they sent? Photos of Layla and Elias from this morning, with a note. Victor's expression was grim. It said, we can reach them anytime we want. The question is when. Dante's hands clenched into fists. his body vibrating with barely restrained violence. Get me everything. Every location the Volkovs operate from. By tomorrow morning, I want a complete list. Boss, if we escalate, they escalated. Dante's control snapped, his voice rising to a roar that made Elias whimper and bury his face in Layla's neck. They threatened my nephew. They threatened her. There is no negotiation anymore. We end this now. The room went silent. Every man understood total war, the kind that left bodies in streets and blood feuds lasting generations. Layla watched this transformation with horror. This wasn't the man who spoke Italian lullabies. This was the crime lord, the killer. This was the darkness beneath the gentle surface. Dante, she said quietly, cutting through the chaos. Not in front of Elias. He looked at her, then at his nephew's frightened face, and something in him shattered. The rage drained away, replaced by exhaustion and despair. You're right. He ran a hand through his hair. Victor, coordinate with the team. I want options on my desk within the hour. Quiet options and loud options. He turned to Layla. Come with me, please. She followed him to his office, Elias still clinging to her. Dante closed the door and slumped into his chair. They were going to kill me today. Would have succeeded if not for luck and better surveillance. And their backup plan was to hurt you and Elias. He looked up with hollow eyes. This is what my life is. This is what I've brought you into. I knew what I was signing up for. Did you? Did you really? Dante moved to the window. Because I'm not sure I did. I thought I could keep Elias safe, give him something normal. But normal doesn't exist in my world. Violence follows me everywhere. Sophia died because of it. Now you and Elias are targets because of it. So what are you saying? You want me to leave? I want to protect you both. But I don't know how without starting a war that puts you in even more danger. If I go after the Volkovs with everything I have, they'll strike back at my weaknesses. You, Elias, everyone I care about. And if you don't respond, then I look weak, and every enemy I have will see an opening. Everything will collapse. He turned to face her. There's no good choice here, only bad ones and worse ones. Elias squirmed in Layla's arms, reaching toward his uncle with one small hand. The gesture was so simple, so trusting. Dante crossed the room and took his nephew carefully. Elias laid his head on Dante's shoulder with a soft sigh. I'm sorry, Dante whispered into the toddler's curls. I'm so sorry I brought you into this world. You deserved better than me. He doesn't think that. Look at him. He feels safe with you. He didn't choose anything. He's stuck with me because his parents are dead. No, he's with you because you're trying. Because despite being terrified, you keep showing up. That's what matters to him. Dante met her eyes over Elias's head. How are you so sure? I'm not sure about anything. I'm terrified. But I know one thing, running won't keep us safer. The Volkovs already proved they can get close. Leaving means being unprotected without your resources. So what do you suggest? Stop reacting and start planning. The Volkovs want war. Don't give them one. Give them something they don't expect. Like what? I don't know yet. But there has to be a way to end this that doesn't involve Elias growing up surrounded by violence. She paused. What do they actually want? Power. They want to prove they're equals to the Moretti family. Then, give them that. Not through violence, but through negotiation backed by strength. They tried to kill you, and failed. That proves you're not weak. Now negotiate from that position. You're suggesting I make peace with the people who killed my sister. I'm suggesting you make a strategic arrangement that protects Elias. Revenge won't bring Sophia back, but protecting her son will honor her memory. What would she want? The question hung in the air. Dante's arms tightened around Elias. She'd want me to choose him over revenge, he finally said. She always said the vendetta mentality destroyed our family, that someone had to be willing to stop the cycle, then stop it. For Elias, for the chance to give him something better. Dante studied her with intensity. You're either the bravest or the most naive person I've ever met. Maybe both. But I'm right. A ghost of a smile crossed his face. Yes, you are. The office door burst open. Victor stood there, expression urgent. Boss, we have a problem. The Volkov patriarch just arrived at the front gate, alone. Says he wants to talk. Dante tensed. It's a trap. Maybe. But he's standing in the street with his hands up, no visible weapons, no backup. Dante carefully handed Elias back to Layla. Take him upstairs. Lock yourselves in my room. Don't come out until I tell you it's clear. Dante, please. I need to know you're safe before I deal with this." Layla wanted to argue, but the fear in his eyes stopped her. "Be careful. Always." Layla took Elias to Dante's private quarters. She settled him on the bed and turned on the monitors showing the front gate. An older man stood there, maybe 70, wearing an expensive suit. White hair, stooped shoulders, but sharp, calculating eyes. Alexei Volkov. Dante approached with Victor and 4 armed guards. He stopped 10 feet from the gate. "You have 60 seconds. Then my men opened fire." "I came to discuss terms," Alexei replied, his Russian accent thick. "To end this before more blood spills. You killed my sister. I didn't order that hit. That was my nephew Pavel, acting, without authorization. I had him dealt with after I learned what he'd done. Dealt with, meaning dead. You expect me to believe that? I expect you to be smart enough to recognize truth. I've been in this business 50 years. You think I don't know the rules? Targeting families brings down heat none of us can afford. Pavel endangered everyone. And the snipers today? My people, yes, but defensive. I needed to know if you'd come alone or have backup." Alexei spread his hands. "You did well. Spotted them, eliminated the threat, extracted safely. You proved you're not your father, you're smarter. This isn't making me want to not kill you. I'm not here to make you like me. I'm here to propose coexistence." Alexei pulled an envelope from his jacket slowly, carefully. "This contains names of everyone who knew about Pavel's plan. I've dealt with most of them, but the rest are yours if you want them. Justice for your sister." Victor took the envelope, examining it before handing it to Dante. Layla watched Dante's face as he read surprise and calculation warring with rage. "Why?" Dante finally asked. "Why give me this?" "Because I'm old and tired, and I have grandchildren I'd like to see grow up." Pavel represented the old way violence and endless war. "I thought I could control him. I was wrong, and your sister paid the price. I won't ask forgiveness. But I am offering peace, with strings attached, territory boundaries clearly marked and respected, no expansion attempts, joint management of the port, a neutral council to mediate disputes." Alexei's eyes were steady. "And most importantly, families are off limits, completely. Anyone who targets civilians answers to both our organizations." It was everything Layla had suggested: negotiation backed by strength, clear boundaries, protection for Elias. But Dante stood silent, the envelope clenched in his fist, grief and rage and pragmatism battling. "I need to think about it," he finally said. "Fair enough. You have until tomorrow night." Alexei turned to go, then paused. "The woman and the boy, I've ordered all surveillance stopped. No more photos, no watching. They're not part of this. You have my word. Your word means nothing when your nephew murdered my sister." "No, it doesn't. But it's all I have to offer besides blood. And blood for blood never ends until everyone's dead." He walked away, disappearing into a waiting car. Layla watched through the monitors as Victor spoke urgently to Dante, as guards reported all clear, as Dante finally turned and walked back inside with slow, heavy steps. She heard him climbing the stairs, heard the door to his room open. He stood in the doorway, looking lost. "He gave me the names," Dante said quietly, holding up the envelope. "Everyone responsible. I could have them dead by morning. Justice for Sofia. What do you want to do?" "I want to burn his empire to the ground. His voice broke. "I want my sister back. I want Elias to have his mother. I want none of this to have happened." Elias, who'd been playing quietly on the bed, suddenly looked up. Then, for the first time since the accident, he spoke. One word, small and clear and devastating. "Mama?" The room went still. Dante's face crumpled, tears finally spilling over. He crossed to the bed and pulled Elias into his arms. "I'm sorry, buddy. Mama's not here, but I am. And Layla's here. And we're not going anywhere." Elias's small hand patted Dante's cheek. Then he said another word. "Tio. Uncle. Yeah, I'm your Tio. I've got you." Layla felt tears streaming down her own face as she watched this breakthrough the one Dr. Morrison said might take months, happening now when they needed it most. Dante held his nephew for a long time, both crying quietly. When he finally looked up, his eyes were red but clearer. "I'm going to accept Alexei's terms," he said. "Not because I forgive him, but because Elias just said his first words, and I'll be damned if I choose. Of revenge over giving him a chance at a real childhood. You're sure? No, but I'm choosing it anyway. Sophia always said someone had to be willing to end the cycle. I guess it's my turn. He made the calls that night, with Elias sleeping peacefully between him and Layla. By midnight, the war that had been brewing for years was averted. It wasn't justice. It wasn't revenge. It was just survival. And sometimes, survival was enough. 3 months later, the brownstone felt lighter. Elias was talking now simple sentences about Mr. Floppy and dinosaurs. Dr. Morrison said his progress was remarkable. Layla stood in the kitchen helping Mrs. Chen prepare dinner when Elias came running, his face alight. Layla, Tio says come. Come see. She let him drag her to the living room, where Dante stood beside the most elaborate pillow fort she'd ever seen. Elias wanted a castle, Dante explained, looking proud. I may have gotten carried away. Best pillow fort I ever saw, Layla laughed. Come inside, Elias insisted. It's magic. Inside, Dante had strung up small LED lights and created different rooms with cushions. He'd even included a cooler with juice boxes and snacks. This is incredible. I had a fort like this as a kid, Dante admitted. After particularly bad days, Sophia and I would hide in it for hours. She'd tell me stories about castles where kings were kind and families were happy. I wanted Elias to have that. Elias arranged his stuffed animals around them. Tell story. About Brave Rabbit. Layla began the story, but Dante interrupted. Actually, I have a different story. About a little boy who lost his mama, but found a whole family who loved him. Want to hear that? Elias nodded, settling against his uncle's chest. Once upon a time, there was a brave little prince named Elias, Dante began. One day, something very sad happened, and the prince thought he was all alone. But then he met his uncle, who promised to always protect him, and a princess named Layla, who knew magic lullabies that could chase away bad dreams. That's me, Elias said, pointing to himself. That's you. And even though the prince was sad about his mama, he learned that love doesn't disappear. His mama's love was still all around him in the songs Layla sang, in his uncle's hugs, in the way his family kept him safe. Layla felt tears prickling as she watched Dante tell this story, creating a narrative that honored Sophia while giving Elias hope. And one day, the prince realized he wasn't alone at all. He had an uncle who would fight dragons for him, and a princess who would sing away monsters. So even though he missed his mama very much, he knew he was going to be okay. Because that's what family does, they hold each other up when things get hard. Like you hold me, Elias said, snuggling deeper. Exactly like that. I'll always hold you, buddy. No matter what. They sat in the pillow fort as the lights flickered, the three of them tangled together in what had accidentally become a family. Elias eventually fell asleep. We should move him to bed, Layla whispered. In a minute. I want to remember this. Dante looked at her with intensity. Is that what this is? Love? The question hung heavy. Layla thought about the last 3 months, the nightmares and breakfasts, the conversations, the way Dante looked at her. I think it might be. For me, anyway. For me too, Dante replied, his free hand reaching to cup her face. I wasn't looking for you. But here you are, and I can't imagine surviving before without you. Dante, let me finish. I know this life isn't what you planned. But you walked into my world when everything was falling apart, and you saved more than just Elias. You saved me too. You saved yourself. You made the choice to change. No one's ever believed in me before, not like you do. His thumb traced her cheekbone. You see all the darkness and mistakes and violence, and you stay anyway. Because the darkness isn't all you are. You're also the man who builds pillow forts and speaks Italian lullabies. You're both the monster and the man, and I... She stopped. You what? I love both versions. Even the parts that scare me. I love you, Dante Moretti. He kissed her then, careful not to wake Elias. It was gentle and desperate and full of unspoken promises. When they pulled apart, Dante rested his forehead against hers. I love you too, Layla Hasan. You and your stubborn optimism and your refusal to let me wallow. You made me want to be better. You are better. You're already the man Sophia hoped you'd become. They sat, holding each other. Elias, sleeping peacefully between them. Outside, autumn rain continued. Security guards made their rounds. But in this moment, In this small castle, they were just a family. Imperfect and unconventional and forged from tragedy, but a family nonetheless. 2 years later, Layla graduated from medical school with honors. Dante and Elias cheered louder than anyone. She matched for pediatric residency at Boston Children's Hospital, fulfilling the dream she'd thought lost forever. The wedding happened the following spring in the Brownstones' garden. Elias was the ring bearer, taking his job seriously as he carried the bands down the aisle. Layla's grandmother cried through the ceremony, alternating between Arabic prayers and declarations that her granddaughter had found a good man. Dr. Morrison attended, proud of how far they'd come. Victor served as best man, still gruff but softer around Elias. Mrs. Chen coordinated the event with military precision. When Dante and Layla exchanged vows, they included Elias' promises to raise him together, to give him the childhood he deserved, to be the family Sophia would have wanted. "I promise to sing you lullabies," Layla said, looking at both Dante and Elias, "to always choose you. To build a life where love matters more than fear." "I promise to be worthy of that choice," Dante replied. "To protect this family with man, everything I have, to never stop trying to be better, to honor my sister's memory by giving her son the world." When the officiant pronounced them married, Elias shouted, "Finally!" with such exasperation that everyone laughed. The reception was intimate good food, dancing in the garden as the sun set. Layla danced with her grandmother first, then with Victor, then finally with Dante, as Elias helped by standing on his uncle's shoes. "How does it feel?" Dante asked. "Doctor Moretti? Technically, I'm still Hasan for professional purposes, but personally, it feels perfect. No regrets about marrying into the mob, the legitimate business interests family," Layla corrected with a smile. Dante had been gradually transitioning operations into legal territory. "Right, legitimate business," Dante grinned. "Sometimes I still can't believe you chose this. Chose me. Sometimes I can't believe you chose Arabic lullabies over revenge. But here we are. Best surprise I ever had." "Ew," Elias protested. "No kissing during dancing. Sorry, buddy. I forgot the rule." They danced until stars came out. 3 people who'd found each other in darkness and built their own light. Later that night, after Elias was asleep and guests had gone, Layla and Dante stood in the garden where they'd been married. "I have something for you," Dante said, pulling out an envelope. Inside was a property deed. "You bought the house in Lebanon? My grandmother's childhood home? I had it tracked down, renovated, made safe. Thought maybe someday we could take Elias, show him where the lullabies come from. Let your grandmother see her home one more time." Layla couldn't speak. She just wrapped her arms around him and held on tight. "I love you," she finally managed. "So much it scares me sometimes. Good scared or bad scared. The kind that makes you realize you have everything to lose. The kind that means something really matters. I know that's scared, but I also know it's worth it. This family we've built is worth every terrifying moment." They stood in the garden holding each other, the brownstone lit up behind them, Elias sleeping peacefully inside. And in the end, that was enough. More than enough. It was everything. Thank you so much for watching until the end. If you love this story, check out the other videos on your screen now. I think you'll really enjoy them. And don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. See you in the next story.